Hi there. You've tuned in to Spotlight on Souris. I am Cindy Russell, and I am here with Lori Denbow, who is the chairperson of the Souris Palliative Care Committee. And we're going to talk about palliative care. Like, what is palliative care?
Palliative care is, I guess, first of all, it's important to know what palliative care is. Mm-hmm. It is the caring of people at end of life.
Right.
And it can be caring for someone who is young, someone who's old, someone in between. There's no guideline as to how old the person is going to be that faces that struggle. And palliative care is provided by healthcare professionals, can also be provided by home care workers, can be provided by family and friends too. Mm-hmm. Depends on a lot of circumstances. So here in Souris we have a great hospital. I can't say enough about our great hospital, and
amazing.
We're very lucky to have the Souris Health Center and the Souris Personal Care Home, and we have lots of people who are very, very, very experienced at palliative care here. I often think of Dr. Cram as sort of a pioneer in palliative care, and I think he goes a long ways in instilling the necessity of good palliative care with his staff, and his staff has changed a lot over the years, but the care has not changed.
No, I hear that all the time, just from previously working in the pharmacies, just the people coming in and just saying how amazing the process was for that particular, like, it's end of life. So
and when I think about it, I never think of pharmacies. Pharmacy's a huge part of it.
Yeah, they are.
And and especially if they're doing palliative care from home. So it's not only doctors, nurses. It can be a close neighbor that's a friend of the person. It can be absolutely anybody that's doing palliative care. And we see that in this community. It's a small community, and families start to play out a little bit, and so a neighbor comes and sits for part of the evening or for the night, and that helps families a lot too. So there's so many people involved in it.
That's good. It's definitely needed.
It is, yeah.
So what does the Souris Palliative Care Committee kind of look like in our community?
In our community, we have 13 volunteers. We meet about 8 times a year. It depends on, the last 2 years we didn't meet as often. We met, we never really accomplished virtual meetings, but we did a lot through email and that sort of thing. We also, it was a year ago tonight, actually, we had our first meeting. I only know that it was a year ago tonight because I became a grandma again during that meeting. And so I can recall that we used the front office, the waiting room of the clinic here. And we were all able to space out and wear our masks. And
lovely.
It was kind of good to be back together, even if we had to follow lots of guidelines.
Yeah.
So when we meet formally, we meet with, at the hospital with the head nurses of both the personal care home and the hospital and the manager of care in the hospital. So Nicole and Jen and Melissa are almost always at our meetings because they're the people that are sort of the front line of care. And then we often have Robin Denbow, who is front line of home care, is there. And on occasion we have Dr. Cram or Dr. Sopel or guests and that sort of thing as well. So this last meeting that we had just about a week ago, we had Carla Mitchell, who is in I guess it's not a new position, but it's sort of being revitalized, and she looks after about 22 different palliative care groups in this RHA. And so she is, right at the moment, most of us had all our checks had run out. So we're all doing, or most of us are doing our criminal record check, our child abuse registry, our adult abuse registry, and getting that all up to date. And then she's the person that's going to make sure that when they need to be done again, she lets us know. So our group will be kind of, for a while, every 3 years now, we'll be doing it again. So, and she's also the person that provides any training that we need. And most of us have had the course. There are a few newcomers in the group. There are a few people that are deciding that they want to continue to fundraise and do things like that, but they don't want to go through that process of doing those criminal record checks. And they also don't want to sit with people anymore. They're just elderly and possibly, you know, not, they've done a lot for our community already.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, even.
And a little
you
help
know,
is better than no
it
help,
is, yeah.
right? So,
That's
yeah.
right. So anyway, as volunteers, we, I guess our number one thing is we like to sit at the bedside if it's needed. And that process happens by usually the staff talking to the family and saying, would you like a volunteer to come in and spend part of the night tonight? And you go home and have a good sleep.
Yeah.
Or
That's
sometimes
important.
it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's in the daytime. Sometimes somebody just needs to get home and look after their own things, pay the bills, and go pick up kids or go get groceries because they might have a house full of people at home, you know, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. So that's probably our first thing that we like to do. But there's lots of little jobs too, and sometimes people don't want to sit at the side of someone who's, you know, that ill, and life is pretty uncertain
Right,
at that
yeah.
time. And so some of our other volunteers look after we have some coffee carts, tea carts,
Oh, okay.
throughout the hospital and personal care home, and they keep the supplies of them filled up and go and do the shopping for that sort of thing. And we have lots of fundraising activities that are kind of spread different times of the year, but once you get a sum of money into your account again, then, you know, we feel we're not there to just raise money, we're there to spend the money too.
Right.
So then we sit down and we discuss, you know, what do we need to do, that sort of thing.
So a lot of, well, maybe all the money that you guys get is just done through fundraising or
Yeah.
maybe donations. Like, how
Donations.
would people donate?
How would people
for that?
donate? They people can donate a lot of different ways. We get a lot of donations from through the Donor's Choice in the spring.
Okay.
We get lots, usually at the hobby craft sale that's coming up here again shortly. We also get a lot of donations that come from a long ways away.
Oh.
And often it's through, if someone has passed away in Souris Health Center and the family has almost always told somebody how much they appreciate our center, and then they often say that they would like donations in lieu of flowers to the Souris Palliative Care or to the Souris Health Center.
Yeah.
And those funds help us a lot too.
They
And they
do
come
good,
from
yeah.
all over.
That's lovely.
Kind
That's
of,
awesome.
Yeah, interesting to see sometimes where they come from. So.
Well, that's great. Your committee have any plans for the rest of the year for any
We do.
anything going on?
We have some of the things we're working on right now, just as a committee, is we have, in the last 2 years, we've not been around ourselves in the facility very much. And it became aware, Chris Cooling, who is part of the RHA as well as in the finance and the building and projects, he came to me about a month ago, I guess now, and said that there's going to be a rental going on at the Souris Hospital, and we're getting this new emergency unit, and I think probably the community is fairly aware of that through the papers and different things, but it does take away one of the family rooms that we were lucky enough to have. We have had 2 family rooms and 2 dedicated rooms to palliative care, and then lots of other rooms are used for palliative care because you can't guarantee there's only ever 2 people needing them. Sometimes nobody does. Sometimes 3 or 4 need it. So when Chris approached me, I said I'd meet him at the hospital and we go and have a look at what's in that room. And when we had a look at it, things are getting pretty shabby and they've been used. I'm not sure the history on the hide-a-bed in the room that still exists, but we went and had a look at it again the other day, and it's fabric. So it's not an impervious barrier material that can be cleaned, and so it's going out. We have just been looking at getting different quotes, and Nicole Barkley has looked after finding the quotes for the medical grade furniture that we will put into that room and replace that hide-a-bed. And it probably won't be quite as comfortable, but it's going to be cleanable.
That's good.
And we all know since COVID, everything has
We
to be
need that,
cleanable.
right?
We
Yeah,
do, yeah.
absolutely.
And then when we find out that we like that particular brand and it seems to be working good, it is a brand that they're using in the Brandon Palliative Care.
Okay.
So I think we've been able to find out it has worked fairly well for
Mhm.
them, so it likely will for us. Then we're going to buy some more pieces of equipment or furnishings to go with that. Because we're kind of a little of this and a little of that,
Yeah.
and our room was getting to look like, well, nobody had space for this, so it's there, and a little bit, cluttery and that sort of thing. But
Mhm.
in those rooms, we have a fridge, we have a microwave, the coffee cart sometimes sits in that room, and quite often it's sitting in that room, so people can, at 4 a.m, if they need another cup of coffee, they can have it.
Mhm.
That sort of thing.
That's
So,
lovely. That's awesome.
yeah. So that's one of our projects that we're working on right now.
Mhm.
But we also, fundraising often happens a lot this time of the year.
Mhm.
So we have the Hobbycraft sale coming up next Saturday, like a week from this Saturday, and we'll have a table that is looked after by some of our volunteer ladies. And people would stop by, and at it, generally what we get is donations in memory of a specific person or
Mhm.
family or that sort of thing. And those donations are kind of earmarked for our memory tree.
Right.
And our memory tree is going to go up again somewhere this year. It has gone at the Civic Center the last many, many years.
Mhm.
At one time, we always had a little service over there. Well, COVID's changed that too.
Yeah.
So we're kind of working on hopefully gathering in person again this year, but
That
we
would be
don't. I don't
nice.
have a date
Yeah.
yet. The other thing that we're going to do this fall, fall, is I think we're going to be at the Santa Claus Parade.
Ooh.
We were at the Peacock Parade this summer,
Yeah.
and that was a member of the community had suggested maybe that would be a good thing for us to do, and it was one of our members, Karen Sobry, who mentioned it to me,
Mhm.
and she and I kind of got on board with a little help from a few others, and
That would be
threw
great.
something
Yeah.
together, and so we're hoping to do the same thing, and it's not.
And for the parades, you just
Yeah.
walk around to kind of collect little donations
well,
also,
we haven't
or
really we didn't do it. We just did it for
Peacock Days?
just for Peacock
Yeah.
Days, so people would say, well, who is that group and
Yeah.
what do they do and that sort of thing, because none of our fundraised money will go towards anything on the float.
Mhm.
That's just going to come out of we're a group
Your
of
own
people
little
that can figure it out.
donations to
Somebody's
a
Christmas
float,
tree,
yeah.
and we do have a Christmas tree that
Perfect.
if we don't have it up yet for the memory tree, we'll use it that night. We
Mhm.
will use that. But, we'll find some decorations and some
Mhm.
lights and that sort of thing. So clean out our basements.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we might have a way to collect some donations that night. I don't know. A little will depend on.
But just
freezing
getting the
cold
word
it
out
was. Yeah,
that
getting the word
there is a
out and-
committee like that
Yeah,
in town.
that's right. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, and we really enjoyed being in the parade this summer.
Parades are fun.
It was kind of heartwarming. I kind of thought,
Yeah.
it'd be nice to be watching the parade, but it was really nice to see all the people lined up on our streets
Yeah.
and Souris to look kind of normal again.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you to you and your committee for what you do,
Oh, you're
because
welcome.
that end of life is
It is important.
it's hard
Yeah, it
for
is.
everybody involved,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, and
thank
not
you.
everybody can do it.
No, no.
And it's important, that we recognize that not everybody meets end of life with the same traditions as
Mhm.
the next person. Like, it's very important for our age group to recognize that there are lots of people that have different cultures than us.
Mhm.
And so often in the past, I think it's sort of been tailor-made for one person.
Right.
And lots of people have different traditions, and
Mhm.
different families have different traditions within their family. And,
Yeah.
and everybody has to be comfortable with it. That's when we say, even as a volunteer, you do not have to sit at
Mhm.
someone's bedside if you're not comfortable with that.
Right.
Some of us have done it a lot. Some of us, I never ever thought about palliative care
Mhm.
prior to probably the last 5 years, other than I've had family use
Right.
palliative care.
Mhm.
And I think it's a privilege to be with somebody.
Absolutely, it is.
To
Yeah.
the last, sort of thing. But
Yeah.
not everybody can handle that.
Yeah.
Even some clients don't want people there at the tail
Mhm.
end. So you have to respect everybody's wishes. Yeah, for sure.
Well, it's
Yeah.
an amazing thing that you guys do. if anybody ever wanted to join the committee, they just need to kind of find
some of
someone.
us.
Yeah.
Lorraine Cooling is well known in this town, Karen Sobry,
Yeah.
myself, Kathy Smith.
Perfect.
Lots of these ladies have been on that committee a
Mhm.
lot longer than I have been, so.
That's great.
Yeah. And we've got lots of retired members in this
Yeah.
community that started it long before we did,
Mm-hmm.
and who have done a good job of making sure it is sort of just this quiet little committee that
Mm-hmm.
that tries to, you know, get things that make the client's life better
Yeah.
to the end, and makes it easier for staff. For example, last year, even though we weren't meeting, we still had some email meetings sort of
Mhm.
thing, and we approved a couple of beds being purchased, and we were a little nervous about that. The beds came in well under our allotted money, so we're
good.
then worried that, you know, what are they going to be like?
Yeah.
And when are they going to come in? They came in, they're in use, they're lovely. The staff love them because the patients are more comfortable. They have multiple positions they can be in. The staff can raise one side of the bed to help for
Nice.
turning and things like that. So that was something that, you know, we've got 2 brand new beds. We've got a couple of other beds that we've purchased there. They're still in use.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've got some pretty, I was in the hospital not too long ago, and
Yeah.
not in this hospital.
No.
We've got some pretty nice beds in
Do
this
we? Oh,
hospital.
that's-
Yeah, very,
that's
very
good.
nice. Yeah,
Well, good.
yeah.
Good.
So,
Well, thank you so much
You're
for
very
joining me here
welcome.
today.
yeah.
And thank you for joining us. Have a great day.